Initiative, founded in 2018. Okay, so we are on. The meeting is recording. Thank you very much, Victoria. Okay, as I was saying, Truthspot Africa Nigeria, who we are. Truthspot Nigeria is a subsidiary of TruthSprout Global Network, TGN, a global initiative founded in 2018 and focused on SDG 8. TGN has been for the past years, it was founded, contributed to global economic growth by expanding great resources on social innovation and entrepreneurship, MSMEs growth, and support and career development. Several subsidiaries worldwide of leaders, young innovators, and economic transforming fellows and alumni. The organization has approached the subsidiaries of TruthSprout Global Network. The TruthSprout Nigeria was launched in January 2019, followed by TruthSprout Ghana in January 2021, and TruthSprout Changemakers in January 2021. Is what those TruthSprout Changemakers that in charge of hosting this webinar today. TruthSprout has been of entrepreneurship, focus, and policy dialogues with key stakeholders across economic sectors in Nigeria. TruthSprout Nigeria, through our MSMEs programs, for young and aspiring entrepreneurs in Nigeria. So, with a warm record, applaud. I want us to applaud the organization for all they do. You can give a virtual applaud to the organization. Thank you very, very much for being here today. So, as I read before, the TruthSprout Changemakers Clinic is in charge of this webinar today. So next in line, we'll be going straight to our speaker for today, or you can say our facilitator for today. So I'm just going to read her bio. Emanuela is an excellent non-profit communicator and result-oriented strategist with proven expertise in non-profit communications, brand management, content creation, digital marketing, and copywriting. She is also a French language tutor. Emanuela is the director of communications, NOMOB Foundation, and Health Volunteers Nigeria Initiative, along the founder of Emanuela Communications, a communications agency she founded to help nonprofits build and grow their brand online and offline. While nonprofit communications consulting is her primary job function by the day, she also enjoys mentoring young ladies. You can contact with her on the following mediums. So you can contact with her on Instagram and via our email on Instagram at Emanuela Communications. So thank you very much, Emanuela, for joining us today. She's here today as with another username, Vivian Akodo Wongu. So don't mind that her name is not there, but she's our speaker for today. So Emanuela, the floor is yours. She'll be talking to us today about branding and communication for social entrepreneurs. So the floor is yours, Emanuela. Thank you very much for joining in.
Thank you everyone for having me. Thank you, Druspa Global, for having me. I hope you guys can see me and hear me because I see that Zoom is hanging a little, which is a normal thing. I'm used to that with Zoom. So if you can hear me, please just let me know if you can hear me and you can see me. Sorry, my video quality seems a little bit low. Anyways, we'll make do with what we have. So I'm just going to share my screen. Can you please enable me the screen sharing option? Can you please enable the screen sharing option so I can share my screen? Okay. All right. Perfect.
Hello, Emmanuel, you can begin. We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So can you see my screen? This is perfect. If you can see my screen, let me know. Hello. Please let me know if you can see my screen. I can't go into the chat again. Let me just check. Okay, I want to believe you ladies are seeing my screen. So I'm just going
we
to.
can see your screen and we can hear you.
All right, perfect. I was waiting for someone to tell me you could see my screen, so I know I'm not talking to myself. Thank you so much for having me, everyone, and it's nice to meet with all of you. My name is Emanuela Imo. I am the founder of Ella Communications, not Emanuela Communications, please. So I just want to make that correction. I've already been introduced, so I'm not going to go into all of the introductions anymore. So let's get straight into social impact. So today we are going to have this talk in two parts. Sorry, my slides kind of have so many lines. I don't know how that came up, but I believe we can see what is there. So I'm just going to go on. So I have divided this talk into two parts. We have the branding aspect and we have the communications for social impact. Now, branding and communications cannot be separated totally because both of them go hand in hand and they have to be married together for greater, effective use and for greater impact. So we're going to be talking about branding. And in the part A of this, we're talking about what branding is, why it's great for nonprofits or for the social impact sphere, and the key branding points, the tools needed to build a brand, also how to create a branding kit. Then in the part B of this, we're going to be talking about communications for social impact. And this is going to be very short. Everything is going to be very short. We would have what communication is, how to ensure great communication, and also how to build a communication strategy. So I'm just going to go straight into it. Let me get some highs so I know you guys are here. I love interactive sessions. So let me just know if you're here and you can hear me and you are pumped for this session. Can I get some highs? You can unmute your microphone because I can keep going to the chat. So let me just know if you can hear me before I go straight into what branding is all about. Okay, this is taking some time and it's kind of slow, so I would assume you're hearing me. So basically, branding is essentially a way of telling a story about yourself or an organization to strangers. Now, when you think of, let's see, when you think of United Nations, what comes to your mind first? Someone should please unmute your microphone and tell me, when you think of United Nations, what comes to your mind first? What is the first thing you imagine when you think of United Nations?
I think for me, it's peace,
Pardon?
peace building, peace.
Peace. Okay, peace. Let's look for another organization. When you think of we have called United Nations. When you think of WHO, what comes to your mind first?
Health.
Health. Okay. In terms of colors, in terms of, okay, you just mentioned the vision health or the mission health. In terms of colors, what colors come to your mind when you see United Nations or when you think of United Nations?
Okay, I don't really know that of United Nations, but for WHO, it's blue and white.
Blue and white. And what do you think blue and white signifies? How does what's the effect blue and white has on you when you come across blue and white?
Okay, white for peace,
Mm-hmm.
blue for cool, something like that, or for health rather.
Yeah. Okay. So white for peace and blue for peace for health. So when people come across this, you don't need to think so far. The vision, the mission, the story behind WHO is already communicated to the person who is coming across that brand by just seeing the logo or the colors alone. I don't know if I'm making sense to you.
Yeah.
So United Nations, WHO, Bill Gates Foundation, all of these big NGOs, Charity Water, my very favorite NGO, they have a way of telling their story to strangers without even explaining themselves. I'm going to be using so many examples just so that we can connect and also bring it down. So when you think of Truth Sprout Nigeria, what do you think? What comes to your mind? What comes to your mind when you see the logo or when you just see the color? What exactly comes to your mind? Let's bring it down home this time. Anybody? What comes to your mind when you see Truth Sprout?
Okay, that would be developing of the young.
Okay, I didn't really get all of
Generation.
that because your mic,
Because it's like a
sound kind of. Can you hear me?
Okay, can I repeat that? I can hear
Yeah.
you. Can I repeat it?
Yeah, please
Okay.
do. Please.
Looking at True Sprout Africa, the brand color first of all is blue.
Mm-hmm.
The blue signifies the professionality, that it's a corporate organization, it's a company. So it shows that okay, we're
Okay, well, it's still breaking, but I think I heard the first few parts of that. So when you see,
Okay, can I add to that?
okay, I'm listening.
Okay, so for Truth Sprout, for the
Really
colors,
breaking.
the blue there is a shade which we call stratus,
Okay.
and that stratus signifies creativity and intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Then the white there signifies possibility. We actually have three brand colors: stratus white and the pink rose, and
Okay.
the pink there signifies gratitude or celebration. So
Okay.
basically the sprouting, if you look at the logo of the organization, the
Mhm.
sprouting this thing inside
Mhm.
the globe is
Yes.
trying to depict information, knowledge, and global development. That's the sprouting, growth, and development.
Mm. Okay, that's perfect. I'm glad that you are able to say all of this and you're able to tell me the big picture or the story behind the sprouts. Now, branding, like I said before, is essentially a way of telling a story about yourself or an organization to strangers. This is because each time as the organization grows, as you grow as personal brand or as someone who wants to make an impact in the society, meeting people. Getting in contact with people means people already want to know about what you do, how you do it, why you are doing it. They just want to know the story about what exactly you are doing. So branding your nonprofit boils down to the visual and written way you communicate who you are and what you do. So there are two aspects of branding. Now, all we have mentioned had to do with kind of the visual part. And this is where a lot of people get it wrong. Branding has to do with the visual and the written part of it. So if you mix up the visual and the written part of it, there's going to be a miscommunication at the center. So people will not totally understand what exactly your brand is about. So it is a way to communicate the cause you work towards and the approach you take towards this cause. So it's not all the time you would actually be able to tell someone that, okay, this is what we mean, or this is what we're trying to say when our logo looks like this, or when our tagline is like this, or all those kind of things. It has to be very simplified for someone to be able to understand and connect. Now, if I take my time to look at your logo, I'm using Choose Sprout again as an example, it's easy for me to understand, even though I might not be able to really depict totally 100% what your organization is about. But I'm still able to see that there are branches, there is something happening there. At least maybe you can give me 50% as a layman if I should look at that. So that means you are on the head somewhere. You don't really need to come to me to explain what your brand is all about. So branding includes storytelling, telling the story about your organization or your brand or yourself to strangers. So branding, strangers, communication, everything is all intertwined. So why exactly should you brand, or why should social impact enterprises brand properly? Now, the first reason is for fundraising. So for example, you want to raise funds for a project that you have, you want to, you have a project, you just need funds to ensure that that project goes on well. Because you have a solid brand, because you already have a brand that people know, people connect with, people trust, it's easier for you to fundraise. Now, social impact has to do with the nonprofit industry. So I'm going to be intertwining a lot of these words sometimes. So when you have a brand that people can trust, meaning you have developed this trust over time, anytime you come out with something new, even if it's something old, but anytime you come out with something, they're like, oh, okay, United Nations is doing this. We know United Nations because United Nations has been showing up consistently, because United Nations has proved to us the reason behind what they do and how they do it. Am I making a point to you guys here? Are you following me?
Yeah, sure, we're following.
Okay, so that's the first reason. You need to brand properly so that you can be able to attract the necessary funding that you need. The second reason is competitive advantage. Now, there are so many people doing almost the same thing you are doing as a social impact enterprise or as a nonprofit. There are so many different nonprofits, almost with the same mission, vision, and goal. But then what makes you different? Your brand, the story behind your brand, how you portray that brand outside to strangers That is what makes you different. Really, sometimes you hear or you see someone's logo and you're like, I've, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Messi
Messi,
was
please
saying
mute your
something.
mic. Okay.
Okay, so what makes you different really is the way you communicate your branding. Everything that has to do with brand is what differentiates you from other competitors. There is nothing that is new under the sun anymore. But the way your own is, what makes you different totally is just how you brand yourself, how you put yourself out there, how you communicate your story, your mission, your whatever to strangers that come across your organization every time. Another reason why you should brand is for better expression of your vision and your mission. Like I said before, it's not at every point you can keep talking to someone or explaining to someone why you do what you do. Some people are very good at assuming and taking responsibility for some things that are not even necessary. So if you do not brand properly, if an organization doesn't brand properly, all these assumptions are going to keep happening. And there is no reason why you should keep having people assume for you, because it spoils the market. It just spoils everything you're trying to achieve. So for a better expression of your vision and mission, you need to brand properly. Another reason why branding is important is in recruiting of helpmates, people who are going to help you through the journey of achieving whatever mission that you have. And these people are the volunteers and also sometimes the community support. So imagine United Nations, I'll keep going back to United Nations, or an organization like Charity Water. Imagine they didn't brand properly and then they are coming out to say, we need volunteers, excuse me, or we need people to help us donate water to some communities. How do you think people will react? Because they don't trust them, because they have not been able to communicate their brand vision and mission to us properly, they have not been able to sell their story to us through branding, we might not really want to get involved with that. Everybody likes something that is already successful, in quotes. So branding helps you achieve that. Another reason why branding is very, very, very important is for presentation. It's for presentation. There's something people call packaging, and I'm sure you ladies know what packaging is. Packaging isn't bad. It's not bad, except when you overdo it sometimes, and overdoing it means you're lying about what exactly you're saying you are. So when you're presenting yourself, for example, an organization is trying to reach out for funds and they're coming to check out the organization, that's the NGO or the social impact enterprise looking for funds. And they are not seeing a consistency in the story that they are sharing, a consistency in the story they are telling about the brand. They just misinterpret whatever it is, and totally they would not want to get involved because the presentation is not correlating. Another reason is for better opportunities. That is self-explanatory. When you brand properly, there are some opportunities that you're able to get, even as a very, very small enterprise, as a very, very small social impact enterprise. Another thing is for awareness and loyalty. People remain loyal to people who are able to communicate well and correctly what their story is. Trust me, people will remain loyal. Now imagine, let's use, let's see, we're not going to use the social impact now. Imagine Maggie No and Maggie Star. Which do you prefer? Tell me why you prefer which. Can you please unmute your mic? I'm using that example because we're so many women here. Which do you prefer, Maggie No or Maggie Star? And why do you prefer it in terms of, let's look at it from the branding aspect.
Okay, I would say I prefer Maggie No.
Okay.
Not really in terms of branding. In terms
Okay.
of branding, I would say Maggie Star is more popular, but okay, like using it to cook, I think I get better results with Maggi now. So
Okay.
that's the basis on which I'll choose it. But for branding, I would say Maggi Star is more popular, and it's something that everybody can relate with, because in fact we call it Maggi. They are the Maggi. So I think.
Okay. For me, I would prefer Maggi no when it comes to branding because they've been consistent. Am
Okay.
I making sense?
Okay.
They've
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
consistent. If you notice, there is even till today, I don't know how many years Maggi no has been in existence. I don't want to say the wrong thing. But even till today, you have to sometimes use your teeth to try to break that Maggi. Am I bringing this home?
Yeah.
Am I bringing it home? You have to sometimes use your teeth to break it because it has always been like that. It has always been. Now, I'm in my kitchen and see, we have, okay, this is Maggi no, and this is Maggi Star. They still have the same wrap. They still totally have the same wrap, but then you still have to use your teeth to break this one. As long as I can remember, you still have to use your teeth to break this. This one, sometimes even if air gets into it, even if without air, it's already soft. There is that consistency in Maggi no. I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying. There is a consistency in their brand. So maybe one might be more popular, but then when we're looking at the branding, there is consistency in it. Now, what is making me loyal? Messi, can you please mute your mic? Or where you can hear some. I didn't get that. Okay, so when it comes to loyalty, my loyalty lies with this because they've been consistent. Now, that's what beautiful branding does for you. Branding is not only, if you remember, I said here, branding is not only about the visual representation. It has to do with also the written representation. It's the exact way you tell your story. So it's not one-sided. It also has to do with consistency at some point. So what are the key branding points? I mentioned the verbal and the visual. So you can see I have a picture here, and in the middle you see brand, and at the end you see trust. At this end, you see trust. When you're building a consistent brand or you're trying to brand the organization, trust is involved. Branding has to do with trust too. I trust these people. Branding has to do with trust. Branding also has to do with design. A lot of people are more carried away by the design part of it, and they forget about the value, the trust, the strategy, and the other things that have to do with building a beautiful, strong brand. Now, the next thing that goes into branding is value. These are the different ingredients that form a good, strong brand. Value. Now, what is the value you are bringing? What is the value you are bringing to the table? Is your value consistent? Or today your value is A, next tomorrow your value is P, and the next time we cannot really say this is what you're bringing to the table. We cannot trust the value you're bringing to the table as a social impact enterprise or as a nonprofit. For nonprofit in terms of value or social impact enterprises, it has to do with the goal of your organization, the vision, the mission. How are you solving the problems that people have? The next thing is the strategy. What is the strategy you're including to build this brand? Then the logo, this one has to just do with the visual representation of it, the logo. And then marketing. How exactly are you making your brand more appealing to others so that people can keep seeing it? How are you trying to market it to more people? Advertising. Marketing and advertising go together, but they are two different things. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
Okay. Great. Marketing and advertising, they go together. Sometimes people mix it up, but they are two different things. So how are you marketing? How are you advertising? You're marketing your story, you're marketing your vision, you're marketing the mission, your beliefs, your values. How are you marketing it? How are you advertising it to ensure it is reaching more people? Because you cannot get too comfortable with where you are. You need more people to buy into your story, to buy into your vision, so that your brand can get to greater heights. Then the last part is the identity. What are your visual elements? What typefaces do you use? What is your brand color? What is, I've mentioned the logo, the word mark, or the tagline. All of these go into the identity. Now, this is what makes a brand really strong, really, what's the word? Strong. This is what makes us trust the brand. All of these ingredients go into building a perfect brand. Now, the verbal part of it, I've already mentioned in this, has to do with the mission. What's your mission? How are you communicating your mission to people? Is it simple for a 4-year-old to understand? Your vision is what you want to achieve. Your mission is how you achieve it. I'm correct. That's what it should be. But you get the check. So what's your vision? What's your mission? What are your beliefs? What are the values you hold dear as an organization? When we say values, meaning there are some things that you will never be caught doing as an organization, as a social impact enterprise. Meaning, no matter what, come rain, come sunshine, nobody, when someone hears about it, they will be like, ah, no, it's not Truth Sprout Global. They know it is not your organization. Now, let me give you a key major example. How many of you know Charity Water?
Not really heard of it.
Okay, I would like you, after this, I would like you to go on Instagram, search for Charity Water. I love this organization. It's a non-profit. I love this organization because they communicate to us their values and their beliefs. Now, one of their major values, or one of the things they hold there as an organization, is no part of your donation goes to staff or administrative tasks. Did you get that? No part of anything. For example, what they do at Charity Water is they provide water for people in communities that do not have water. And they have been able to raise millions, billions of jerry cans, because that's how they do it, for people, jerry cans of water for people, provide water sources in different places in Africa. Now, when people donate, they make sure, and they even tell you, that no part of your donation is going to administrative duties. Charity Water is a very, very old organization, if not more than 20 years. I'm not sure, but it's not like a recent something. It's not a recent organization. And they have been able to stay consistent to this value. So if someone comes to tell me now that Charity Water took their money and used it to pay staff salaries, I will tell you boldly, it's a lie. You know why? They have built that trust. They have told us. They even help you track. They have GPS coordinates that you can use to track what that your money was used for. It's a value that they hold there. They do not at any point let that guard down when it comes to the money that people donate to them. And that has helped them build a strong brand. So different brands have different values, different beliefs. Do you communicate this with your audience? Do you let your audience know in your content, in your videos, in the activities that you carry out, in your programs, in everything? Are these values communicated to your audience? Now, another part of the verbal branding point is your audiences. Who are your audiences? Who are the people you are trying to reach out to? Do you just reach out to just anybody? Or you have specific people that you reach out to? You are focused on this group of people. There is a nonprofit I work with, not foundation, that's the foundation. I'm sure the person that talked about said I'm the director of communication for that foundation. Now, what we do is we help sickle cell patients and pregnant women with routine medicines. These people are our target audience. Anybody outside that, we are not able to help. It's something people know. We've been able to communicate to people that these are the group of people that we work with. This is their challenge, not being able to access medicines when they need it. And here is our solution, providing medicines for them. So do you communicate all of this? Your vision, your mission, your beliefs, values, your audiences, your challenges, your solutions. Branding. When you're branding, all of this should be properly communicated to the audience. Now, the visual part of it, which is the most simplest part of it, is the logo or the word mark, the key brand colors and color palettes, which can be gotten from coolors.co. Typefaces, what kind of fonts do you use? I'm sure you guys know that different fonts mean different things at some point. Do you know that? Yeah, different fonts mean different things. So there are some fonts that are very official. There are some fonts that are playful. There are some fonts that are informal. It totally depends on your brand voice. How do you communicate your message to your audience? So your typefaces would also matter. So you can get typefaces from fontpair.co. Then a consistent style for images and content. A consistent style for images and content. If you go back to look at Charity Water, I keep using Charity Water because their branding is on fleek. If a consistent style of images and content, you would find that on Charity Water. If you look at their page, all their pictures have a kind of feel. They all have a kind of feel, and they use their own original pictures. Pictures that are not their original ones, they will tell you. But when you see their own original pictures, you will know they are all edited in the same way. You will just know. They also have a library of graphical elements, and social enterprises should have this. Non-profits should have this. It's very important. Another thing is your non-profit's visual identity on social media. Now, why I say on social media is because social media, your website, is usually the first contact people have with your organization. If you make your visual identity consistent on all platforms, on all your media platforms, definitely people will be able to identify you off social media and even on social media. There are sometimes my brand color is purple, and I use purple because I like to make people feel important, like royalty. So when people see my brand color somewhere, they're like, Ella, I saw one color like that, and the first thing I thought about was you. Now, what this has done is people have been able to connect so much to that color that it makes them remember me unconsciously. That's what branding can do for you. It makes them just remember me unconsciously. So it's consistent. At some point, I was having issues trying to decide on even the shade of purple to use, because all shades of purple, I just love it. And all the meanings of the different shades, I love it. But then I had to just stick with one. So your nonprofit or your social impact enterprise visual identity has to be the same. Now, moving on quickly, we're going to the communications for social impact section. So what exactly is communication? So communication is any, for social impact, is any communication that takes place between a nonprofit or a social impact enterprise and its audience. So you are seeing how branding and communication work hand in hand. Communications, you are still communicating. Branding, you are still communicating, but in two different ways. Now, this includes everything from making charitable solicitations to the general public, to writing thank you notes, sending organization updates to existing supporters, different things. Communication involves so much. Involves press, the media, articles on your blog. Everything has to do with communications. So what are the key factors in ensuring a great communication? The two major factors that ensure great communication is a strategy and a plan. Now, a strategy is a guide, a communication strategy is a guide that helps transform an organization into a brand. Now, this strategy or this guide contains the step-by-step process in which different things are going to be done, in which you approach your audience in terms of content, in terms of all the things you want to put out. So like I said, when you brand properly, you're going to be able to communicate that brand to your organization, to your audience. So if you do not brand properly, it might be difficult for you to be able to communicate that. So this strategy is very important because it will just help you have a consistency in the message you are sharing. And it also helps provide people with additional value. So a communications plan is a document that guides the external communication efforts of an organization. So there are different things that go on in an organization. So for example, you might want to put out blogs on your website. You might want to put out content on your social media platforms, or you might want to promote a program that you have. All of these things, you can decide to have a communication strategy and plan for a major event or a particular event, or you can even decide to have it for a year, for like a full year, you can have that. But then it totally depends on the organization. So how exactly, or what should you do when creating your communication strategy? You need to first define your objective, your business objectives. Now, when it comes to social, even as a nonprofit, you need to define it. What are your business objectives? Every nonprofit should see themselves as a business and treat themselves as a business. Because if you don't do that, you're going to be shooting yourself in the leg, and a lot of things that you need to do will not be done. So have a business plan. What are your objectives? The general objectives. Now, what are your communication objectives? You need to define it. In defining it, you need to make it SMART. Specific, measurable, attainable. What's the other one? R and T, time bound. So realistic and time bound. You need to make it SMART. Whatever your objectives are, please make it SMART, because when they are not SMART or your objectives are too many, really it's not realistic because you will not be able to achieve it. So it needs to be SMART. Now, your communication objectives will depend on the business objective. That's the general objective you have as an organization. So after that, you now analyze your current situation. Where are we right now? Where are we right now? What have we been able to do? What is the level that we want to get to? How do we want to get there? So once you analyze your current situation, it will help you to know the different next steps to take to be able to get to the next step that you want to get to. Then you also need to research your competitors. What are they doing? How are they doing it? What can we do differently? How can we do it to make us different, like to stand out? Because like I said, everybody is donating a pad to a girl. Everybody is donating exercise books to students in secondary schools. Everybody is donating medicines to people. But when you are donating medicines, when you are donating pads, how different is your own? Because your competitors are doing the same thing. What will make you stand out? What will make people want to really support what you're doing? And how do you communicate this to your audience? Now, in knowing how to communicate this to your audience, you need to know who your target audience is. A lot of social impact enterprises and nonprofits fail to design and segment their target audience. You cannot be saying you are trying to provide food for children and you are reaching out to I don't know, people who do not need it. If you're trying to provide food for children, who are the people that will be able to connect you to these children? Mothers. Who are the people that will be able to support what you're doing? Mothers. Why? Because mothers are the ones who knows what it feels like when a child does not have food to eat. Mothers are the ones that knows what it feels like when a child is left alone on the street. They are able to connect better to that. Those are the people that will buy your story. So if you do not know who your target audience is, you will be advertising and marketing your organization to just everybody, and you will not be getting the impact that you need because your message is just falling on stones. So you need to know who your target audience is. After that, you also need to determine the channels you want to use to share the message or whatever it is that you want to share. So what channels, what platforms do you want to use? Do you want to use your website via your blog? Do you want to use email marketing? Do you want to use social media? How are you going to do it? What kind of content? Now that's like a deeper version of it. But then these are the major things you need to have when planning your communication strategy. So I'm exhausted, I believe what I have to share. Let me know if you ladies have any questions. I was supposed to add how to create a branding kit, tools needed to build a brand, but I have all of that in a free gift that I'm giving to you all. And it's right here. So there's an online toolkit for nonprofits that I created, and it has a lot of tools you can use to brand your organization. Some of them are free, some of them are not. You can also research so many other tools that you can use to build a beautiful brand, a strong brand for a social impact enterprise or for your nonprofit. So I'm going to share this slide and also the link. I'll share via WhatsApp so that you guys can have access to it in your community. So I don't know if you have any other questions for me. There is another slide that I have. That one is more extensive when it comes to branding. I'm going to share that too. Please remind me. I have a lot of work, so I tend to forget a lot. So let me know if there's any question, if there's anything you want me to shed more light on, and we would be done. I think I have 2 minutes left. I can't hear you.
I think my